Hello guys, how's it going? My name is Dalaran, and in today's video, we'll be taking a look at even more customization features added in this recent Shadowlands alpha update. In the last few videos, we saw some awesome and interesting changes. My favorite two highlights in recently have been the Tauren with all the different funny customizations they have gotten, as well as the Night Elves who are starting to look less cartoony and more realistic in a way. Blizzard decided to add a more realistic features rather than the overemphasized features. You still have the stuff with bright colors and leaves in your hair, but also you have some interesting choices that make you look more like a void elf than anything. In this update, Blizzard decided to give all the updates to all the short races in the game. So we'll see Gnome updates, Goblin updates, and certain other allied races and side races that have gotten a couple different adjustments as well. So first things first, we'll be taking a look at the Gnomes, which is the first race that I discovered with this update. They've gotten a couple features added. At first we were thinking and expecting that maybe Orcs will have a couple updates, or maybe the humans will get something extra. But this time it looks like the Gnomes have gotten all the different customizations. The first thing is faces. It doesn't look like there's any new facial features. But you do have 3 new skin color tones. You have number 6, 7, and 8, which are a lot darker than the original vanilla choices that you have had. You also have a couple new hairstyles which are available for Gnome. For the most part, the old hair really does look, well, kind of fake. It looks kind of plastic in a way. The new hair looks similar in the style, but I think a little bit more believable. You have, first of all, the Mayhem, which just looks like your hair exploded backwards, kind of like an Einstein look. Then you have the Hedgehog, which looks more like Mechagnome-ish in a way, but it does kind of spike towards the back. And then you have Parted, which looks kind of fancy. I think as the textures that feel a little bit weird, and maybe Blizzard will play around with the different textures for the hair, so maybe it'll look a little more high def in the future. But right now, the hair will look a little bit like cotton candy. And so will the eyebrows. It's just something weird about it for now, but that's just something to consider. You have a couple different hair color options from this kind of vivid green. Then you have a bright Super Saiyan all the way down to purple, orange, and blue. We also have a couple different beard options, and the beard as well as the mustache are separate, so you can have a lot more combinations. You have everything from goatee, full, chin puff, curtain, pointed, and garden. So you can really just emphasize the different features of your gnome separately from the mustache, so you can have a lot more customization, which I actually quite enjoy. Another feature of male gnomes that's also customizable are the eyebrows. Again, I'm not sure if Blizzard would keep the same textures or maybe they preloaded different textures. And at first I looked at the eyebrows, it looked a little funky and weird, but now you can customize what kind of eyebrows you want, even if you want to be super long, something that's super unrealistic to get. But if you want your gnome to look like he is completely buried in his hair, maybe even resembling one of the dwarves of Lord of the Rings, you can totally go for that setup as well. The mustaches is what excited me the most. Now there's a lot more features, and I think all of them look good. It does seem like Blizzard maybe have borrowed a few choices from the Mechagnomes, but some of the new ones I saw are full, which looks like a Kultiran mustache just slapped on a gnome. The Tuskar, which actually looks like the Tuskar mustache. I had to take away all the beards in order to be able to see them in full glory, and I actually like this one a ton. Then you have a very fancy mustache called Dandy with a little bit of this handlebar feel while being full, so it's more like one of the earlier mustaches, just like a very combed version. And then there's Shocked, which I feel like just fits towards the Mechagnome style of them always tinkering with their mechanicals. So with all this, now you have a little bit more customization on the different features that your gnome may have. Of course, there's also different eye colors, so you can customize that as well. There's a variety of vivid colors, but there's no options for one eye or both of them to be blind, which means gnomes are looking pretty good in the next expansion. The female gnomes got a couple other updates themselves as well, but I feel like maybe they're just not quite as extravagant as the males, because males can really do a lot with the beards and mustaches and the haircuts as well as the vivid colors. But if you're someone who was thinking of playing a female gnome in the next expansion, like the males, they also got 3 new skin tones available for them, so you can have a bit more customization for your character. Take a look at the different haircut options, and I would say that for female gnomes, the hair options, like the old versus the old really don't look that bad compared to the new. The new just look like an improved version of the old ones. However, I've seen Very similar hairstyle options that female dwarfs or female gnomes have that are similar to other races. Like the donut bun, and actually I think I've seen Draenei with that similar haircut. The bald is nothing new. The bedhead actually looks good, and that looks pretty original. The curls reminds me of one of the haircuts for either female trolls or female dwarves, but very similar to that style. And then the last one that's original is Chibi, which looks very obviously similar to one of the OG haircuts they have, but it is different, and I guess it's so hard to tell the difference, but it is different and it does look good. The color options for the hair themselves with the males and females is going to be exactly the same, so you'll still have different vivid colors all the way from purple to the really bright Super Saiyan blonde. You'll have the green, the blue, whatever you want. The female gnomes also have exactly the same eye color options as the male, so there's nothing really new there. But if you wanted to find something unique about female dwarves versus the male, I would say it's the earrings. The earrings really have a lot more patterns instead of just hoops and holes. There's a lot more design to them, from the crystals to mechanical earrings, and it really does inspire this whole mage-like fantasy caster, but has a bit of tinge of this engineer in progress look as well. I really like the choice for the crystals hanging from the ears, and being, let's say, a frost mage, I just felt would fit really well. However, you don't even need to stick to the one color. There's actually different types of colors for the earring choices, from red, yellow, purple, blue, as well as green. So there's at least a little bit of unique customization if you were to play a female gnome. There was a small update to the female and the male Draenei, and that is mostly having to do with the jewelry color. So the jewelry for the females doesn't fully work right now, so it's really difficult to see all the different customizations available. But you have jewels on your tail and usually jewels on your body, like a headband that is jeweled. There's the gem and then there's the metal around it. So now you can have a little bit more customization of what type of jewel you want for your character. So if you want that Argus purple with a royal golden, you can go for that. If you want more of this blue and bright like a paladin, you can do that too. But even if, let's say, your Draenei is not a paladin, but rather a warrior or something, you can go for more like iron colors with a bit of green to it as well, to be kind of in the mid, or just like a silver and red gem inside of it. So there's a bit more customization there. For males, it's a little weird because you don't really have nearly as much customization in terms of where the jewelry shows up, but it's certain haircuts it does change, like in the current one you're seeing right now. It's very subtle, and it's interesting to see if Blizzard will add more jewel options to put on your Draenei in the future. Besides that, some of the smaller updates we have for the Alliance left is going to be the Mechagnome update. Nothing really new except for more skin tones, which just simply reflect the same ones as the original gnomes have. So at least you'll have something extra to do on your Mechagnome come Shadowlands in case you do end up playing the diaper baby race. Another thing they added for Mechagnomes also was the eye color. However, for Mechagnomes, there's not a lot of options for eyes, since there's a good portion of modifications that actually obscures your eyes. But one thing to note for Mechagnomes, they do have a blind option as a Mechagnome. So maybe the original gnomes, like males and females, are supposed to have a blind option that just simply is not available in the game just yet. So that's very interesting, unless it's supposed to be a unique thing just to the Mechagnomes themselves. Maybe for a Mechagnome to be blind and replacing their eyes completely would make sense, but then you wouldn't really be able to see the blind eyes overall together. So that's also very interesting. We'll see what other updates Blizzard does for any of the other allied races, but it is cool to see them add certain few updates to allied races we earned in BFA. And finally, the Goblins. Now, the Goblins have a variety of features that are gonna be, I think, non-conventional. Most of the times we're looking at tattoos, body paint, maybe certain hairstyles and more. But I would say the Goblins were pretty bare when they were originally re-released in BFA with a higher upgraded model, the high-def version. The war can have a variety, a flurry of changes, but the Goblins, I would say, they're getting the most amount of new and unnoticeable changes, but they are getting new stuff at least. So I don't know how many of you guys really play Goblins. I think just about every single disc beast in the game might be playing one, so this update is mostly for the disc beast. However, Blizzard did add a couple different skin tones, as well as a couple new haircuts. You can have more of this side chops haircut to look a little bit more fancy and presentable as a Goblin. Or you can go for more of this slick top knot type of deal if you want to really look like a greaser goblin. And then at the end you have kind of hair hanging down. So not too many crazy extravagant options. The hair color options are pretty crazy though. You can go to a variety of different colors for goblins. So if you want to go for this kind of like a punk look goblin, you know, blue hair on top, a bone sticking through your nose kind of deal, really looking like you're about to mess someone up, you can. I think it's kind of cool and unique that they gave goblins a lot more choices in terms of the variety of hair color. And you wouldn't be a goblin if you couldn't select the types of ears you wanted. Now, I don't play a goblin myself, but I believe some of these ears might be new. Maybe not. It's so hard to tell just because I don't play Goblin, but hopefully Blizzard added more ear customizations. And it also looks like depending which ear you customize, you'll have different customization options. Also, goblins have gotten a lot more eye options, so now goblins can at least look a little bit different from each other than having those purple eyes for every one of them. There's a lot more nose customizations that I've never seen before. Like, your nose can actually look like it could stab somebody. But I think my favorite overall was the droopy nose, which looks like a beak. So if for whatever reason playing Battle for Azeroth you missed out on the mount Sharkbait, you might be able to just simply look like Sharkbait. But it is cool. It is a feature for goblins that is a lot more emphasized on the noses. This also happens for the females as well, a little bit differently. But I think on the males the nose is extra emphasized. And I actually like that feature. Then there's also, I think, about the same features available for the chin, but it does add into a little bit of that face customization. The jewels and ear piercings are different depending on the ear when it comes to goblins, so this is going to change at least right now in the alpha, depending on the setup that you have. So maybe it's all intended to be available for all ears at a later point, or not, but right now it does seem to be limiting. You can also choose the different color of jewelry, but also you really should look through all the different presets available for noses as well as the ears, so you can see the most amount of updates available for every type of nose and every type of customization. The female goblins are not really all that different from the males. I just would say that they are not nearly as emphasized, but they still got a couple new updates available either way. For example, the same skin tones available on the males are also available on the females, so you can go extra green if you wanted to, or maybe more of this yellowish color. The hair options for the females from old compared to new, I would say the new ones don't really look nearly as new, as some of the textures for the hair has been pretty good in the past. But you can go for like a really high fade, or a messy cut, or a ponytail in the back, which I guess it looks alright. Definitely not the most extravagant piece of addition when it comes to hair I've ever seen, but it looks pretty decent. Like the males, the females are also getting a variety of ear customizations, but it looks like the males' ears are heavily emphasized compared to the females and the choices. They also have exactly the same eye colors, just like the males, no blind options available either. And the noses are a little bit smaller, but you can really go to be kind of emphasized on your goblin if you want to. Although on the males, the beak is quite massive, but in the female goblin, if you want to have your nose basically feel like a stiletto dagger, you totally could do that. The chin options available are about the same as BFA, but I don't play a goblin myself, so I don't really know if there's a lot of new options or not. But the customization you can have between the nose and the chin, I mean, you can really make a deadly weapon. Imagine having that chin and that nose charge at somebody. You don't even need a weapon for it, so whoever is going to get charged on will basically get impaled. And when it comes to jewelry, you have the ear piercings, nose piercings, as well as jewelry color. Again, like the males, the females, depending on your ear choice and nose choice, you do get completely different customizations available. So unless Blizzard decided to set certain noses and certain ears to certain piercings, or it's simply a bug and everything is supposed to be available at all times, it does seem like you are kind of limited in terms of the styles you want if you want something extra. So if you want a little skull piercing on your goblin, you'll have to go for a very specific ear choice, at least right now in the alpha. Certain ear options only give you 2 options of jewelry to wear, whether it's hoops or nothing. So that it does feel a little bit weird to mess around with. So I just kind of started randomizing my character, seeing all the different options available. There's some cool ones, but hopefully this is just a bug and won't be like this in the future. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Let me know what are your thoughts about some of the different updates that are happening for the gnomes, as well as the goblin, as well as the Draenei, I guess, in some sense. Hopefully we'll see more stuff for especially Nightborn. Not just because I play one, but I feel like Nightborn, out of all the allied races, have gotten the least amount of updates. But when it comes to some of the vanilla races, we've done Night Elves, we've done Undead, Tauren, Troll. I think we've done everybody but Orc on the Horde, so hopefully we'll see them in the next build. And on Alliance, I think we've done the Draenei, we've done the Gnomes, the Dwarves, we've done the Night Elves, so I wonder what else are we going to get on the Alliance side in the future. I guess only time will tell. But thank you guys so much for checking out this video. Let me know what are your thoughts on some of the different customization updates available for both Alliance and Horde in Shadowlands. Let me know your thoughts, and I'll see all of you guys in another video.